In the USA, big state called Michigan.
Flint area clergy focusing on ways to reduce crime in the nation's most violent city, and at the same time, they're urging lawmakers to bring money back into the city. Clergy telling NBC 25's Josh Marshall the city can change, but it takes a community-wide effort.
The Reinvest in Me bus is stopping at Flint's Catholic Charities to rally support before heading to Lansing. They want school reform, revenue sharing, but most importantly, a ceasefire between residents and police.
As a kid, you could walk anywhere day or night and not have to worry about it.
Greg Stevens is joining a statewide effort to reprioritize Michigan's budget so he can safely move back into the city he loves.
I was scared to walk out of my house during the day.
Through local efforts teaming up with statewide teams, Stevens is learning how Flint is getting back to its roots.
Communities can put together very effective partnerships to address this violence.
Operation Ceasefire has former felons teaching youth about their mistakes, but without funding, it's only an idea. The rally is trying to increase revenue sharing from the state to fund similar operations.
So we need to get that money back on into these cities where it needed most.
I wanted it to go back to where it was when I was a kid, being able to go outside and walk around and not have to look over your back to see it's coming at you.
The next stop for the Reinvest in Me bus is Lansing, where they plan on bringing cities like Detroit, Battle Creek, and Flint, Michigan's issues to the table for Governor Rick Snyder. In Flint, Josh Marshall, NBC 25 News.
Josh also telling us Reinvest in Me also seeking funding for alternatives to out-of-school suspension and increasing the earned income tax credit. Well, still ahead tonight on NBC 25 News at 6.
All of the cities that's in Michigan to get the ceasefire program so that we can address the issues of crime and violence in all of our cities at the same time.
And that program is an effort to put an end to gun violence. It's already gotten results in other bigger cities. WNEM TV5's Faith Gantner has more.
If you can save one life, it's worth it.
Pastor Ira Edwards speaks passionately about the need to cut gun violence in our community. He's calling for a statewide effort.
But we know that we have four of the worst cities to live in the top 10 in Michigan.
Edwards joined city leaders, police, and community groups today for a rally at Catholic Charity Center for Hope in Flint. Keynote speaker David Kennedy, who created a program called Operation Ceasefire, discussed how the program has helped reduce violence in several major cities, including Boston and Chicago.
Very active criminal offenders, they run on the street in gangs and drug crews and things like that. And what it takes to stop it is a really pragmatic, nuts and bolts working partnership of community people and social service providers and law enforcement.
Kennedy says statewide ceasefire initiatives are possible to implement because other states are already doing so.
In California, in Ohio, in North Carolina, in Connecticut, the state has done its homework, said we are behind this and we are going to support it where it's needed.
Today's stop in Flint is part of a statewide bus tour that will end in Lansing, where lobbyists will ask Governor Snyder to help provide funding for a ceasefire program.
We want to talk with the governor. We've had some good conversations with him, but we want to go further.
Pastor Larry Campbell from Saginaw agrees. You may know him as the head of Parishioners on Patrol. He says a statewide ceasefire program is what's best for Michigan's most violent cities.
All of the cities that's in Michigan to get the ceasefire program so that we can address the issues of crime and violence in all of our cities at the same time.
In Flint, Faith Gantner, WNEM TV5.
The bus tour organized by the Harriet Tubman Center in Detroit also made stops in Southfield, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, and Battle Creek.
The Reinvest Express statewide bus tour made a stop in Flint this morning, sponsored by the Harriet Tubman Center. The group wants the governor to devote more resources to programs that help cities, young people, and families in general. They're also calling for changes to high school suspension policies and for more anti-crime efforts. The group is also calling for a restoration of full revenue sharing with Michigan cities. The bus tour also stopped at the state capitol in Lansing this afternoon.
In the city of Flint.